Hi. Okay. Last video for imperialism. And then we start World War One. So, Africa. Look at this. You're actually looking at Otto von Bismarck. Do you remember him? He helped unify the German. Well, he didn't help. He kind of did it, but he unified the Germanies. He was the prime minister of Prussia, remember? And Germany exists at this point because of him, basically. These are all European leaders sitting around a table. And look, he's going to serve them a little piece of cake. Piece of cake called Africa. This political cartoon is depicting a meeting that was held in Berlin, Germany. It's called the Berlin Conference. Your sister wants you to go play with her. It's called the Berlin Conference. And if she keeps barking, I'm going to have to mute the video. Okay. Anyway, the Berlin Conference, basically European countries, because they're all taking over things like crazy at this time period, because European countries are taking over a whole bunch of stuff at this time period, everybody's fighting over Africa. The whole idea of the Berlin Conference was to take Africa and literally just divide her up and say, okay, you get this and you get this and you get this. That way European countries wouldn't fight over Africa. That sounds fair, right? There was not one single African leader at this meeting. Let me change that. There wasn't one single African at this meeting. Forget leader. There wasn't one African at this meeting to say, ooh, don't put those two tribes together, or don't separate this tribe. There wasn't one single African leader or anybody there to speak for the Africans. Imagine if me and my mom and my dad, we got together and we said, all right, we're going to your house. We're going to your house. Mom, you get the, I don't know, let's not be sexist here. Mom, you get the garage and the backyard. I'll take all the bedrooms. Dad, you can have the kitchen and the living room. We just divided up your house, you. Yeah? And you had no say at all. Are you okay with that? Because that's what just happened at the Berlin Conference. The Europeans went in to your house and just divided it up. And then the militaries just start showing up. And the Africans are like, oh, what the heck? Guys, Africa is not totally tribal. We talked last semester. Oh my gosh, Frey is making me crazy. Let me pause the video and get her to stop barking. Okay. I got her to quit. It's called giving her snacks. Okay, so anyway, there was not one single African here. Guys, you talked last year in geography about Rwanda. Okay, we don't really deal with it a lot in here, mainly because we don't have time. But we don't deal with it a lot in here, which is okay because you should have got it in the 9th grade. But that's why the Rwanda genocide happened. Well, partially, is because here, baby, is because you have two different tribes of people who hated each other. Oh man, I feel like I can't get a break in this video. Anyway, you have two different tribes who hated each other, being thrust together, put together, having to make nice. And it didn't end so well, did it? Okay, so again, and y'all, that was what, 1993, 1994? I remember that too, by the way. I think I was y'all's age when that happened, and I didn't understand it. But again, the stuff that we're talking about right now, it's not that far removed from today's time. So just a little side note, okay? So anyway, here is what the Partition of Africa is going to look like. Here, baby, Flint. Look. Let me just go here. This is better. I'll just go ahead and jump here. Won't worry about the other map. This is basically what's going to end up happening, okay? Let me point out some of these places. I can't get Flint to stay still. This color here, this kind of, I don't know, maroon, brown, whatever. whatever color that is, that's England. Okay. You go for it. All right, no more snacks. We're done. So this right here is England. Okay. All of this blue here is France. Right here. Yep, Portugal. You don't have a lot of Portugal. This light green right here, that's going to be Italy. Italy should have this also, but they don't. I'll tell you that story in a minute. And check out Germany. Germany and England are already butting heads with who is the strongest. Okay. They noticed that England was, look at this. Germany comes in and goes, whoa, we want this right here. Germany didn't really care about what was right there. Germany wanted that to break up what England was doing. Do you see this? Look at this. England's going to have a lot of the best areas. They're going to have Egypt up here, which is the Nile River, all the way down to Lake Victoria. They have South Africa, which has a ton of gold and all kinds of good stuff. This up here is like called the Ivory and Gold Coast, although there's not a lot of English. This right here, Sierra Leone area, you've heard of blood diamonds probably. That's this area. Nigeria, a lot of oil. So this is Africa. Yeah? After the Berlin Conference. That's not right. I don't know where I'm starting. Oh, I have to zoom out. I have to go by the pictures to know where I'm starting. Ethiopia. I love this story. Okay, look. Ethiopia is this right here. Okay. It's supposed to be Italian. Let me zoom in again. Italy was supposed to get all of this continuous land right here. Okay. They're not going to get it, as you can tell, because of this man right here. He's way cool. He's their king. His name is Menelik II. Menelik II. Menelik II goes to Prussia. And he says, Germany. I'm sorry, it's Germany by now. And he says, so you guys did this Berlin Conference thing. And now Italy gets to take over our land. What? We'd like to buy some weapons from you. Ethiopia had a ton of diamonds. Tons and tons of diamonds. And they're literally just going to pour them at the feet of Germany. And Germany's like, guns? Shoot, we'll give you a lot of guns. We'll even send you some military leaders to train your Ethiopians because you've given us so many diamonds. By the way, a lot of those diamonds are going to fund, they're going to pay for Germany's side of World War I. Everything in history leads to something else. And as a result, Menelik, bless his heart, he is, again, if you go back and look at this map, he is going to be able to fight off Italy, okay? Italy, they will not take over his kingdom of Ethiopia, but when we get to World War II, not World War I, World War II, with Benito Mussolini, one of the first things that Mussolini goes to take over when he's creating his empire is Ethiopia. And you're like, why? That's so random. As far as Mussolini was concerned, Ethiopia should have always been Italian. And he's like, it wasn't, so we're taking it. So he goes in and takes it. Another issue is today, when you think of Ethiopia, you probably don't think of a people that are incredibly rich. In fact, they're starving today. Bless his heart, Menelik II does something that's awesome in the short run. He buys all of these German guns in order to keep Ethiopia free. But they also don't have any wealth anymore, which is kind of sad. But it's still a good story. I like that they're able to keep Ethiopia away. And then there's this guy. You know I love Europe so much. But there's just some stories that are not flattering for Europeans, and this is one of them. So this right here is King Leopold. Okay, King Leopold. Let me go back. Look right here. So Leopold is the king of Belgium at this point. Belgium. We're going to talk more about We're going to talk more about Belgium whenever we get to World War One, which is coming. But I'm sorry, but this right here is what Belgium is going to get. Okay, today it's like the modern day Congo. We talked about the Congo a little bit last semester, or no, the beginning of this semester. But this right here is like the modern day Republic of Congo. Belgium gets this. Okay, there's a lot of diamonds there. Like a lot of diamonds. There's a lot of rubber that can be done there. There's a lot of cash crops. Y'all, that's a great raw material place. Well, King Leopold gets control of that and is incredibly harsh, which is crazy to me. Like, when you look at him, he just looks like someone's grandpa. Yeah? That infuriates me. That infuriates me, guys. These are people of the Congo. This is King Leopold. If you resisted King Leopold in any way, he just cut off your hands. Um, he would torture families. He did terrible things to the people of the Congo. Look, I've got so many pictures, y'all. Look at these babies. Those are little kids. So, like, think about how many times, just since in quarantine, your mom or dad has said, do this, please. And you're like, ugh, and you show some attitude. Yeah, you would have lost your hand back then. More hands. And these are, y'all, please understand, these are not paintings. These are real life photographs. That is a real person who really lived. Like, that is just so sad. And look, two hands. You're like, well, he should be doing what he's supposed to do. Uh, uh-uh. Mm-mm. We've talked in here about cruel and unusual punishment. Huh. That doesn't happen in the enlightened world, and it's happening. So sad. Look at these ladies. Well, they're not all girls, I'm sorry. Sorry to these two gentlemen over here. Y'all, they have like old school chains. They're not slaves. These are not like slaves from like the 1600s. This is 1800s. Natives of the Belgian colony in the Congo. Huh? How do you put chains on people? More chains. More chains. So, what's going to end up happening? King Leopold, I'm sorry, I meant to go back to this picture. King Leopold is incredibly harsh. You okay, baby? King Leopold is incredibly harsh, okay, with the people of the Congo. That being said, eventually there is going to be a backlash against him. Eventually, people are going to be like, dude, this isn't right. But I mean, millions of people died under him. Well, I don't know if I can say millions. Thousands of people died under him, for sure. Maybe millions, but for sure thousands. Thousands more were tortured by him. Guys, this is torture. We got rid of torture a long time ago with the Enlightenment, again, with the idea of natural rights. And you're like, yeah, but not in Africa. Yeah, but he's European. Europe is an enlightened place now. Mm-mm-mm. So let's move to English control. So we've looked at Belgian control, okay? We looked at how Ethiopia dealt with things, England. If we go back to this map, England, as you can see, here we go. As you can see, England has a huge chunk of Africa, which isn't really a surprise. But they're going to, like I said, have Egypt and the Nile River all the way down here to Lake Victoria, and then Germany stops it. Okay. Then they'll have this right here, and then over here. We have a guy who is British, all right, but he comes to sub-Saharan Africa. Remember, that's down here, south of the Sahara. His name is David Livingstone. There he is. Oops. There he is. David Livingstone. David Livingstone was British, but I don't think he's actually English. I can't remember off the top of my head if he's Scottish or Irish. Did I put it in your notes? I didn't put it in your notes. I think he's Scottish, but I could be wrong. Scottish or Irish. But anyway, it doesn't matter. He's British, okay? So David Livingstone, he goes to Africa and he falls in love with it. He doesn't go with the King Leopold idea of things. He goes really truly feeling the desire to help, not forcing the Africans to change, offering help. He's a missionary, so he's, of course, spreading Christianity. He is going to start doing a lot of good things for a lot of the South African peoples. That being said, he also pushes big time for all this slavery, all of this putting Africans in chains, even if they're not slaves. He's like, that needs to go. So he's going to push really hard for that. Now, you see this picture right here of an African boy giving a British dude his tea. There's a difference in like hiring a young man to be a servant, like hiring, like David Livingstone would do, versus like you saw King Leopold, where he has them like in chains and he's like, work or I'll cut off your hands. There's a big difference. And Livingstone definitely pushed for the, these are people mentality, not these are things for us to control mentality. Okay. Not that England's always great, but this right here kind of shows you where Livingstone was. Okay. All of these, like all these different colors, all of these colors, if you look down here, these are all his travels or whatever at different times across Africa. And so you can see like him all down here in South Africa. He loved Africa. I kind of think, I could be wrong. If I remember right, I think he died there and was buried there, but I could be wrong. I may be wrong. Don't quote me on that because I don't remember for sure. But anyway, he loved Africa. And so he went everywhere, right? Speaking of English presence in South Africa. Yep. Look right here. I want you to just look at some of these pictures. And if I'm going too fast, pause the video, okay? Beware of natives. Like you took over that country and then you put a sign that says beware of natives. Gosh. All right. Some of those pictures are pictures that came out of South Africa, okay? Originally, South Africa, okay. Originally, like in January for us, we had Portuguese forts. Do you remember? Okay. Then the Dutch came in and took over down here. And so South Africa was very Dutch, all right? And they kind of got along decently with some of the native tribes. There were issues, yes, but they got along decently. Well, then with the partition of Africa, England got this. The Dutch were like, you're not taking that from us. So there's a fight, a war. It's called the Boer War. Did I put it in your? I don't know if I put it in your notes. It's Boer. I've heard people say the Boer War. Boer. The Boer War is the war between the Dutch Boers, who were the settlers here, and England. And it shouldn't surprise you, England's going to beat them. Okay. So England gets control of South Africa. That being said, they institute this thing called apartheid, which again, I shouldn't have to go into this a lot because you should have talked about this in the ninth grade. But apartheid is like it literally means like apartness, to be apart. It's racial segregation. But I mentioned it in another video. It takes what happened here in America to an extreme. You definitely had areas of towns that were separated. Yeah, that's going to happen in World War II also. It's called the ghettos. We're getting there. Where originally there's barbed wire, and then later it's not barbed wire, it's a fence, not a fence, a brick wall separating the Jews from everybody else. Mm, that's kind of the same thing. Ooh, that stuff makes me so angry. And I don't know if it's just the way I was raised. I don't know. Or just, I don't know. But it just makes me so angry, y'all. And this, I can't even believe this. I just can't even. I just can't even. I mean, I just can't even. That's just so awful. You take over their country and then you put a sign up that says, beware of them. The segregation is pretty bad. And a lot of the areas where the native Africans had to live look like this. They were like literally sectioned off parts of town. Oh, I'll get to him in a minute. But they were literally like sectioned off parts of town, okay, that were just slums. And the control was so harsh that eventually in the 1960s, yes, I've gone ahead and jumped ahead. Again, it just makes more sense to go ahead and finish the story. But in the 1960s, and even before that, but there were Africans, South African native men and women who started protesting, who started fighting back. Okay. And so we get to this gentleman. You should have learned about him last year in the ninth grade. His name is Nelson Mandela. This is a young Nelson Mandela. You're used to him being old. I know he was young once. This is a young Nelson Mandela. Mandela was part of a group that wanted English presence out, wanted apartheid done. Okay. Um, they weren't always the most peaceful group. All right. They weren't always going about things in a nonviolent resistance type of way, of course. But there was a protest. Okay. And at this particular protest in the 1960s, Nelson Mandela was arrested. All right. He was arrested as one of the leaders of this group. Well, he gets like life in prison for being part of this group, right? And then he's put in a jail cell for, I don't even know, 26, 27, 30, something. It's around 30 years, okay? But he ends up not serving a life term. It's, like I said, close to 30 years that he's in prison. This is the Nelson Mandela you're more used to. And y'all, every year I have kids tell me that's not Nelson Mandela. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Doesn't he have the most beautiful smile? Such a happy smile. I mean, I think if I sat in prison for 30 years, I don't know that I'd be like that, but whatever. But so anyway, Mandela, he serves his 30-ish years. Did I put it on your notes? How long? 26. So anyway, so he serves his 26 years. And then when he gets out of prison, England is going to allow something that they haven't done. They're going to allow like totally free elections in South Africa. Well, look, people want Nelson Mandela for president. Okay, I'm probably not going to vote for an ex-con to be my president. But do you see why they wanted him as president? He was overwhelmingly voted in as president in the 90s. Did I put it? 93. See? I was going to say I remember when he like was president, but I wouldn't have known 93 off the top of my head. But so anyway, he is voted in as president, okay? And the very first thing that he does is he's like apartheid is illegal. Done. And at this time too is when England finally goes away and South Africa is like its own country now. People feel like all of Africa is very tribal, and parts of Africa, of course, are. But y'all, I mean, again, if I go back and look at like show you these pictures, like he's wearing his tribal garb here, his tribal clothes. But like if you go back and look at these pictures, this is South Africa. These are probably pictures from Johannesburg, the capital city. Look at how they're dressed. Again, people have this idea that Africa is all tribal. No way, man. Not even close. Look at all these kids in their clothes, just like we would wear. So, and him in his suit. So, yeah, just please don't think that Africa is all tribal, which I hope I got to you earlier, like in the year when we dealt with Mali and all that kind of stuff. But oh no. So, anyway, apartheid, gone. South Africa, doing pretty good. They have issues, everybody does, but doing pretty good. And is that it? I think that's it. It's probably my last picture. Guess what? Imperialism, done. So that means next week, ooh, World War One. I do not think we're gonna get through all of World War One in 1 week. So we'll see. And next week, you will start having assignments in here. Okay. Bye, guys. I will see you later.